When I was a kid, all I wanted was a dog, and I couldn't have one because we lived in a giant apartment in New York City. Not a big apartment, but you'd have to take the dog down the elevator, and then you have to walk it on the street in the city, and then you have to pick up its poop after it's done with its poop. Or if you don't pick up its poop, all the people in the city are going to chase you down the street and start yelling at you. And the dog wants to go out in the midnight because it has to go out. But if you live in the city, like my son lives in the city, he has 5 floors of stairs to go up and down to get to his apartment. And when your dog looks at you at midnight and says, "May I go out, please?" and you're not too dressed at midnight, except in your pajamas, and you have to go down 5 big flights of stairs on foot, no elevator, and then climb back up, and you've already done that 3 times that day. So that's why I couldn't have a dog when I went to New York, when I grew up in New York, because my parents understood the responsibility and knew that it would be horrible. Some people can do it. But as soon as I went to college, I was 18 and I got a dog. What do you think of that? What do you think happened to that poor dog? I was a college student. I was 18 years old. I had the right to have a dog, but I probably didn't have I didn't realize it was going to be so expensive, and you have to love the dog. You can't just leave it there all the time and not pay attention to it. So you turn 18, you have the right to, it's not, one of the rights we'll go over later. It doesn't say you have the right to have a dog, but it says you have a right to sign a contract that gets you a dog when you're 18. See, but you couldn't do it when you were 17 because your parents, you would walk to the dog shelter and your parents and the dog person would look at you and say, "You don't look like you're 18, old enough to sign this form." But once you're 18, you're old enough to sign the form, and that's what we're talking about, is all those rights. And I'm telling you, where I went to college, there were more dogs running around all over the college. They ran into the classrooms because everyone was like me. We got there at 18 and said, "Great, I have the right to get a dog now." And then, you forget that you got all this stuff to worry about with the dog. So anyway, circles of support. Circles of support, we've kind of talked about them a little. And, I think have you heard much, maybe not in these words, but I think you've been encouraged with families that care for you and bring you to programs like this, and friends and caregivers, and you've got teachers who care for you, and counselors who care for you, and job coaches who care for you, and friends who care for you, and extended family who care for you. If you're lucky, some people are more alone than other people, but when you realize who you have around you that you can turn to as you are 18 and say, Miss Miller, do you think it's a good idea for me to get a dog? I'm moving into my own apartment. Do you think it's a good idea for me to get a dog? And, she might tell you, and she says, "Yeah, I got a dog when I was 18, but I ran away because I never, or you could ask your friend, "No, I figured I better not get a dog." You're going to have, and you have already, people around you, and I think we just like to remind you about that. The people in your churches or places or mosques, place of worship, those are people you can generally go to and feel, you've known them for your whole life, a lot of you, and you have people around that you shouldn't forget about. And we're blessed when we have people around, and I understand that. Sometimes, I think one of the things we like to say about your circle of support is, it's great to have people you trust. I have people you trust. I trust. I friends for life. They're not going to be mean to me. They're not trying to get something out of me. They're not trying to do anything. But you know, the one place that you don't necessarily, you always have to watch circle of where you get your friends is the internet. And I know you've heard tons about that, and you probably know as much about it as the next person. But picking up those people in your circle of support, it's always worth worrying about. I tell a story about one of my friend's daughters who met people on the internet playing a war game, and the people they were other young people like in their 20s, and they got friends over the internet. You know where they were? Brazil, South America. How many hours away? 8 hours to fly there from here to there. Is that how long it is? Mm-hmm. Speak a different language, Portuguese. Had these friends from thousands of miles away on the internet, didn't even know who they were. So my friend's daughter turned 18, says, these people are in my circle of support. They're my best friends. She flew off to meet them. She had never seen them before. Pretty scary, right? But she knew who they were for a lot of other reasons. But she saw that she had them on video and all that. And you always have to worry about that kind of thing. She did well with it. She learned a new language. She made friends for life. It all worked out great. But you have to worry about the internet one. Sometimes it doesn't. And you've always heard those stories. So you gotta just be careful about it. We'll be returning the internet all the time. But when we talk about circles of support, we really mean people who
have your back.
They got your back.
Yeah.
And you know they got your, couldn't have said it better. And you know they got your back. You've known them forever, or they're teachers who care about you, and you know they care about you, and your counselors and your job coaches, and you know, and your friends who've been around since you were a baby, and that's who's in it, and that's what you want to remind yourself of, just always. And it's just when you're blessed enough to have it, use it, because it'll save you a lot of trouble. You know, you go to the wrong bank to open the bank account. Oh my God, I went to the wrong bank, opened the wrong kind of bank account. Why didn't I ask somebody first? Go to some horrible, creepy doctor that I could have said, I could have asked my friend. My friend said, I went to that horrible, creepy doctor. I would have told you not to go to that horrible, creepy doctor. A million things that you could save the trouble for if you just draw on the people that you know and trust and have your back. So there's not much more to say about circles of support, but we hope you have them and you draw on them.